So you're thinking of moving to Riverbank, California, but maybe you're not super familiar with the area, so you're not really sure if it's going to be the right or wrong place for you to live. Well, today we're going to go over the top pros and the top cons of living in Riverbank, California to give you a better idea of what to expect if you do move there. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn all about living here in the Central Valley of California, then make sure you hit subscribe and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first one updated. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a realtor based out of Charlotte, California, and I get calls from people just like you every single day looking to make a move here. So whether you're moving right now or even next year, feel free to reach out to me through booking a Zoom call with me, give me a text, or shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and go over your different options. Okay, so Riverbank, California, you're probably thinking, where the heck is that? Because if you're not from the area, it's a little bit of a smaller town, so you may not be familiar with its specific location. It's in Stanislaus County with a population of right under 25,000, so it has grown quite a bit in the past couple decades. But it's located about 7 miles northeast of Modesto, which is a much better known bigger city. So, and if you're not familiar with Modesto, it's about 30 to 40 minutes from Stockton and about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on traffic, to the Bay Area. So that gives you a little bit better idea of what town we're talking about and where it's located. So first, I'm going to go over some of the pros of living in Riverbank. And of course, keep in mind with these videos, I'm just going over a few of them. Of course, there's more pros and cons I'm going to talk about, but these are some of the more notable ones in my opinion. And the first pro is all of the new development and new homes that have come to Riverbank. There have been a lot of new builds coming, meaning it's bringing in a lot more people, which also brings in a lot more business, and it just helps the economy out in general there. Now, one of the notable areas currently for sale there is the Diamond Bar East. It's built by LGI Homes, and I actually do have a video of walking through some of those new homes, so definitely go check that out. But that community is offering a lot of incentives to buyers too, to help you get into a home. So for example, the builder's offering to buy down your interest rate for you. So you can get in at about a 5.25% interest rate versus, a 6 or 7% interest rate, which is standard at the moment. They're also offering to cover some of your closing costs for you. So you can get into a home with as little as about $4,000 out of pocket, which when buying a home, that's really not a lot at all. So they're doing a lot of incentives to help, especially first-time buyers get into these homes, which is just fantastic. The other pro to a lot of these new build homes, not just this community, but all of them in general in Riverbank, is they are significantly cheaper than if you're looking in the Bay Area. Even super close nearby, or not super close, but fairly close, is, Tracy, Manteca, all of those new build homes. We're looking at some of them in the millions there, or high 700,000-800,000. Riverbank, we're looking at a starting price of 500, low 500s to I think the mid 600s or so, but definitely go check out that video I have because it's giving just a lot of great options for buyers. Now the next pro, and this is really a huge one if you are living there, is there is significantly lower crime rates in Riverbank compared to surrounding areas and the overall national average. So for violent crime, Riverbank sits at about a 9.8 compared to the national average of 22.7. So that is a huge, huge difference. For property crime, it's a little bit, I don't know the exact amount, but it's a little bit below the national average, but a little bit more comparable. But in terms of the violent crime, it is just way lower than surrounding areas, national. And this is absolutely huge because you want to feel safe and secure in your home. So if you are looking in this area, Riverbank may be a good option for you. A lot of local residents there do state that they feel safe. I mean, you could go to niche.com and read reviews from residents where they have quoted that and said that, but this is just a huge pro in my opinion. Now, the third pro we're going to talk about is some of the shopping and dining there, and specifically looking at the Crossroads Shopping Center. Given that Riverbank only has a population of around 25,000 and is not that big of a city or town, it actually has really nice shopping. And a lot of people from Modesto area will drive to go there. So they have this place, it's called Crossroads Shopping Center, that has just a ton of different options for you. A lot of the big name stores, of course. So we've got, Costco, TJ Maxx, Kohl's, Target. We have other grocery stores such as Save Mart. I heard that a Hobby Lobby is coming in. That's just to name a few. And there's different dining options there as well too. So I think it's great to bring in this type of business to Riverbank. And going back to my talking about new developments and new homes, bringing more people, it causes the city to be able to bring more of these stores in, like Hobby Lobby. So I just think it's great that such a small town has great amenities like that. Now, the fourth pro is you have direct access to the Stanislaus River, if the name of Riverbank didn't give it away enough, being that it's right on the river. So the Stanislaus River there's a lot of different spots you can go swimming, you can just go picnicking, fishing for the day. It's really just a nice outing, especially here in the Central Valley where we have very, very hot days in the summer. It's something unique to the area because a lot of Central Valley towns are waterfront access is canals. So having the river to go to throughout the summer times or other parts of the year, up to you, is a huge bonus of being there. And a lot of homes, some even have, riverfront access. Now, the fifth and final pro I'm going to talk about today is it's a much quieter alternative to Modesto. Now, if you're not as familiar with Modesto, Modesto is I think it's the biggest city in all of Stanislaus County. It has a population of around 200,000, and it offers much more big city amenities such as shopping, dining, nice downtown area, things to do, the arts. I could keep going on the list. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and I do have videos about Modesto you can check out. But living in Modesto, there are certain parts that just are not as quiet. So if you like the smaller, quiet towns, Riverbank will be a better option for you. But the great thing is you can get over to Modesto in less than 10 minutes, depending on the part you're going to, from Riverbank. So you kind of get the best of both worlds with being in a quieter area, but also being close to that bigger city. Now, while a lot of local residents do have positives to say about the community, there's also some cons. So we're going to get into those right now. We're going to go over 3 different ones. And like I said, there's more cons, some of them I don't like to repeat because you see my other videos, there's a lot of repetitive ones being in the Central Valley, and that includes the heat, sometimes the air quality because it can get a little dusty. But I don't want to repeat too much, so I'm going to talk about more specific ones to Riverbank. And the first one is small town growing pains. Now, like I kind of talked about as a pro, there's a lot of development going on. We've got those Crossroads shopping center that's bringing more and more stores in. We have a lot of new homes, and this is inviting a lot more people and a growing population. However, a common complaint that we hear from residents is it's just the town is small and has a lot of growing pains. So we hear there's too much traffic for a small town. The schools feel like they're being stretched, and some of the folks are not liking, the new suburban sprawl that we're getting there. So first, talking about traffic, we get some bottlenecks. So Riverbank just wasn't really built for the amount of traffic that it has today. So the McHenry Avenue / it's also called, the Highway 108 area, that goes through the Crossroads shopping center and is the main road that gets you to Modesto. That gets super backed up, especially during rush hour time. So try to avoid that if possible. Second one, we're hearing some people complain about the schools feeling a little stretched. So the schools originally were not meant for how many kids that are there. So as new housing tracts pop up, we're seeing a lot of enrollment going up as well too, as new families with children move into the area. So what does this mean? That means that, the student to teacher ratios are going up and not as personalized time with the kids. Now, I have heard there's some really good schools in the area or surrounding areas, the school district. You'd have to look into them specifically, but this is just one small thing that I have heard from residents. Now, the infrastructure is still playing catch up, mostly with the roads. And just to give you an idea of how much it has grown, in 2000, the population of Riverbank was around 15,000. Currently, 2025, population is around 25,000. So we've seen 10,000 people increase in the past 25 years, which isn't the fastest increase, but given how it was originally such a small town, that is a pretty big increase. Now, the second con is the limited job market in Riverbank. As we've talked about, Riverbank is a much smaller, quieter town. So there's a lot of people that live and have a home in Riverbank, but they commute. There's a lot of commuters in Riverbank, even if that means just going over to Modesto, which that isn't too far, but we do get some Bay Area commuters as well. So Riverbank's mostly residential. We do have, that Crossroads shopping center, but that offers more just retail jobs. So if you're not wanting to work in retail, there's not a lot of opportunity there. So if you're looking for more of a higher paying white collar professional job, Riverbank doesn't really have those big companies or specialized such as tech, health, none of those industries. So you're definitely going to have to go to Modesto. But fortunately, the location of Riverbank gives you the opportunity to be right over in Modesto super quick. But depending on traffic in the morning, that can take, a bit of time back and forth depending on just what time you start your shift. Now, the last con about Riverbank that I really don't think is talked about enough is kind of going with that pro of having the river is that the Stanislaus River does come with risks, and I feel like there's stories every year about different accidents that happen around that river. So the Stanislaus River, first of all, can be very cold because a lot of it is snow runoff and stuff. So, you may be a little surprised when you get in there and cause you not to be able to swim as well as you expected. There are a lot of really strong undercurrents too, depending on the time of the year, mostly the season as well too, because sometimes it can be when that snow melt comes, a lot extra water, just causing a lot of undercurrent that maybe you don't see from the top. So I just always advise you to be aware, especially if you're taking your children with you to wear a life jacket. Always be aware of that undercurrent and keep an eye out at all times. Now, I think it's a great pro having the river access there. I've been before. It's a lot of fun, especially, like I said, in the hot summer days. But it is something I just want you to be aware of, that, we constantly hear about accidents happening there. So just keep an eye out on your loved ones, any family, friends that are going, and just be safe when you're out there. Now, of course, there's more pros and cons, but these are some of the top ones in my opinion. I would love to hear in the comments what your pros and cons are if you are a local resident or have ever lived in Riverbank. If you are interested in moving to Riverbank or any of the surrounding communities, feel free to book a Zoom call with me, send me a text, or just give me a phone call, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and go over exactly what it is that you're looking for. Until next time, hope to show you around the valley.